Hi Aquarius, and welcome to your June 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the month ahead. I hope you're all feeling really wonderful. It is a bit of a challenging month, but it is chopped full of rewards. Let's dive into your reading. And yeah, so Saturn Retrograde in your sign. That's the first thing I think of when I see these cards coming up. The Ten of Wands. Hello, Ten of Wands. So good to keep seeing you. The Nine of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles. The Devil. The Devil is kind of like a symbolism of Saturn, as well as the King of Pentacles. So 6 out of 8 of your cards are very much evocative of this Saturn return, which will be lasting a few months. And it's okay. I think that you're fine. I think that you're doing this really well. And what's good to know in June is that the choices that you make here, the feelings that you have, the difficulties, the challenges, and the why factor for engaging in them is everything, okay? So why do people put themselves in challenging situations? Why do people work harder than they have to for money? Why do people carry more than they can? Why do people push themselves when their body is demanding rest? That is a really good thing to think about and journal about now. Okay, because that's the devil archetype, okay? Being chained to something, being chained to a force greater than you, having commitments that are really hard for one person to carry through on, yet feeling some sort of greater connection or some sort of higher reasoning for doing what you're doing. You know, this is a very human, kind of lower dimensional thing to go through. And I don't necessarily think that all Aquarians are going through this. It's just a dialogue that I'm being called to talk about, being that your sign is the sign that Saturn is retrograding in right now. So what does Saturn retrograde in Aquarius mean? I may make a video about this, but since we're in your reading, I think it's a good chance to get a little bit of dialogue there. It means that the way that you've organized your life, the way that you've built a network in your life, you know, Aquarius, the 11th house, is going to require restructuring, or it's going to require a greater commitment or some type of shift in material. So there's a material shift in your group, in your family network, and in your professional network that could be coming up during this time. It's really important as an Aquarius to pay attention if people are demanding too much of you. Okay, if you're not being credited for your work, if you're working for someone else's benefit and not receiving the proper compensation. And I think that it's an empowering time for Aquarians to request a raise or also to request less time worked. If you guys follow my channel and you watch quite a bit of the content, you would be seeing the 10 of Wands, 9 of Wands consecutive appearances in the readings and in a lot of my speeches about 2021 and 2022. And in June, I do think that it's hard to still be there, and it's going to really request that we start to create more sustainable structures and more sustainable ways of work, especially overworking, especially workaholism, especially also pushing yourself too hard. Those are things that we really have to get out ahead of right now and find a better solution for. So how can we do that? How can we move away from burnout? How can we move away from overworking? Well, a lot of it is acknowledging our own control freak ways. Okay, so a lot of times I see people who struggle with being a workaholic or people who struggle with pushing too hard really think that they have total control over their material well-being, or think that they are the ones who choose like how much money they make or whether they have abundance in their lives. So they think, okay, because I'm in control, that means if I work harder, if I amp up my energy output, I'm going to get back. And to a degree, that is always true. Okay, there's a part of that that always merits, but there's a major glass ceiling within that train of thought, and there's always an equal and opposite reaction. You know, when somebody enters a really harsh, unrealistic diet, they then have the binge period. When somebody works unrealistic, they then have to have the coping period, and it starts to get really polarized. So the real key is to work on your own energy of abundance now, and also understand that like true wealth or true abundance or true prosperity never comes through working like 90-hour work weeks. It never comes from that. Like there's a limit to like what income can ever do for you. There's a limit to what paychecks or, you know, money worked for can ever do. Okay, it's equity, right? Equity is what grows wealth. Equity and alliance and who you know and things like that. That's really that's shown in the 10th and the 11th house in astrology. Like, that's not the money you work for. That's not like where true wealth is. And astrology really shows this. It's not in the second house. It's not in the 6th house. Okay. Those are the two houses that deal with like, okay, these are the hours on the clock that I'm working. This is the paycheck I'm getting. This is the labor I'm doing. That's not where wealth is. Okay. It's up in the 8th, 10th, and 11th houses, which is who I know, my proximity to power, my reputation, and also my equity. Okay, that's where wealth is. So we need to really get out of these like harsh contractual situations here, where and pull back our stake in overworking and start to develop the things that truly build abundance in our lives. So why has this become such an economic discussion? Well, Saturn is in your sign, right? Which is the economic planet that rules the 10th house. That's Capricorn. And the North Node is in Taurus, squaring you. Uranus is, we have a big Taurus stellium squaring you. So it seems really focused on like the work and money stuff for you guys this month, but especially just like work and like the money you make from working is going to come up for either a revamping or a recontracting now. And the King of Pentacles, I think, is the highlight of this reading because that's like where that knowledge is. And you can really understand how to create better, more sustainable systems in your life that way. Let's talk about your week-to-week Aquarius. Week number 1, the Devil rooted down by Knight of Cups. Okay, so secretive energy. First week of June could also show someone telling you a secret, or somebody could be telling you they have an addiction, or like confiding in you with something really kind of like corrupt or difficult that they're going through. Like you could see someone who's like really reputable, like coming to you, telling you about something disreputable they went through, or there's like a feeling of like, can you keep my secret, or can you help me work through something that's that I don't want people to know about. And I would be careful with that. Okay, I would be careful about involving myself too much in that. We're moving into a period of time, especially in this Gemini season, where we want that transparency and we don't want to feel like we're working through like dark hidden things. Okay, so whenever I'm seeing the Devil come up during this paradigm, or I'm seeing even Knight of Cups or anything that shows some type of like secret or taboo or something that we want to keep beneath the surface, that's something that we don't want to avoid, because avoidance never works, but we certainly don't want to invite or push that into a center point of our story right now. On the other side, this could be like you not being willing to confide in anybody, or like you're burned out or you're working too hard and you don't want anybody to know that you're struggling, or you don't want anybody to know that you're chained to something that you can't keep up. So it can kind of be like the Atlas archetype. Again, Atlas to me is the archetype of 2021 through 2023. People holding up worlds on their shoulders. And that is a very revered archetype, right? Like we really worship that. Like we really value the person with that like Protestant work ethic, So that could also be like what you're going through, like you being in that role of holding up a lot of people's worlds, or being a titan of sorts. That looks really nice, but you might just really need some kindness from other people, or you might need nice connections, or you might need people to confide in, rather than like a big paycheck, or rather than that sort of audience dynamic. Okay, so like being that person playing that role and having like an audience, or having like a group of people watching you, but there's no real connection there, or there's no real human element to it. So like dehumanizing roles, or participating in dehumanizing roles with the Devil and the Knight of Cups together. So needing to be a figure, needing to be like a celebrity, needing to be someone who is seen a certain way, but then is subsequently deprived of any type of humane connections because of upkeeping a certain image. That's definitely coming up there, and I would hightail it away from those types of inhumane constructs of lifestyle. So week number 2, King of Pentacles rooted down by 3 of Swords. There is something in Aquarius, because this is like having Saturn in your sign, right? Like this is like an ode to Saturn in your sign. Can I have success and heartbreak at the same time? Can I have success at the expense of my humanity, or at the expense of my heart? Okay, so the heart chakra really needs to be focused here. You could almost see yourself being like, okay, I'll sign away my happiness for a bonus, or I'll sign away my happiness for a profitable contract, or I'll sign away my happiness for independence of some kind. when it's like the universe is also right here saying, but look at how easy and light it could be. Remember how you've done this before, or like look at look at how you could accept like love with like a very minor pay cut, or look at how you could have so much more for just a little bit less, versus having like way more financial abundance for like absolute misery. Like kind of try to work on the allure or the false allure of material well-being. That's always something to take a look at with Saturn in your sign, because this is like a human life at the end of the day. This is like your life. This is your timeline. This is your breath, okay? And maybe it means more than just like a bank account, or it means more than just something that will outlive you, okay? Like a bank account, like a currency, like a company or a job. So we have to be very careful during this time. And I know that it's getting kind of heavy and scary sounding, but it's important to think about that. Like, okay, I am going to sacrifice 5 years to this company and like fund my retirement, but also this company is going to outlive me, and the money in that retirement fund is going to outlive me. And I have to think about whether the life essence that I'm putting into creating something that will outlive me, is that a healthy thing? And is that balance? Again, this is the devil archetype. It's like we don't even realize it, but we're investing all of our life force energy into something that we don't even get to prosper from, or something that it doesn't really, like somebody else, like we could literally step out and somebody else could do it. Like it's not about us flourishing, it's about us contributing to a greater like chasm or greater nexus of human energy. This is like Pluto return vibes as well. So I'm sorry, Aquarius, this reading is getting like super kind of like dark, but also it's important to know this stuff, and it's important to really, because we need prosperity and abundance in our lives too. It's not about like just rejecting everything that creates that opportunity, but it is about receiving a balance now, Aquarius. Okay, when Saturn is in your sign, you can really commit yourself too much if you're not careful, especially when it's retrograde. And I'm going to be doing this too, because I've also been overcommitted in my role as well. So I've got to see how I can like really create that healthy balance. And I'm learning through your energy about like maybe overcommitting or over pushing yourself, or investing too much of yourself into one thing. Maybe that is actually really scary at a certain point. And maybe it takes everything. Okay, so we have to know that, and we have to be responsible for our own well-being and for our own soul here. Okay, with the devil and the and a Ten of Wands, and it's a very big wake-up call for any type of overinvestment or over-the-top illusion around growth. All right. Week 3, 10 of Wands rooted down by 2 of Pentacles. You're already starting to get it together in the third week. Cancer season comes through, and it's like, this is what this is now. You have to understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. And you have like a decision coming up, and I've been talking across all of the signs this month, and I'll be talking about this in the Benevolence a lot more. Check that out on Patreon below. I so recommend the Benevolence tier, because I do wrap up every month, and I combine all of the content that I've done and get the overarching messages of all of it. You're going to be doing that in your life, though, as well. You're going to be like, okay, this is like what the last 12 years did for me. This is what the entire result of so many years of work is, and it's a good or a bad thing, or it's a continued or not continued aspect of my life. And look at each one of these wands. I think that it's a high time that we deconstruct 10 of Wands a little bit, and we look at each one of these wands. What are they? What do they give us, and what don't they give us, and why are we carrying them? Are we carrying somebody else's livelihood? And while they like rest in an ivory tower, are we carrying someone else's, are we paying someone else's bills, with our own hard work, okay? And the most important thing to get from that is not to get like mad that we are, or not to get like upset at the system, or not to create a new wand for us to carry, right? But it's really to decide, are we going to keep carrying it, okay? Are there better ways? Are there new methods? There are new, and that's not even a question. I've got to tell you, New Moon in Gemini of 2022 has completely changed the game and opened a lot of lighter paths up to people. So there are very creative ways that you can get way more value off of like enjoyment, okay, off of like the work that you love, off of reupholstering your work ethic or something like that. I don't know, that's a strange combination of words, but do you get what I mean? It's like, it does not have to be this hard and it does not have to be this heavy. And you can at least hire people, or you can rely on coworkers to take like 2 or 3 of these wands a piece and have like a little bit better of a delegation. Like it's stopping being a sad story and it's becoming a ridiculous story. Okay, those of us who are carrying too much, like it was really like kind of like pointy and what do I want to say, like current and I don't know, important to think about, and wow, really, really like relevant spiritual thing to be going through in like January of 2021, you know, this like, wow, 10 of Wands. But here in June of 2022, this is getting ridiculous, or this is getting like stupid to be going through. And it's becoming like more of a, and I don't want to PO any of my beautiful Aquarius followers, because this is not just about Aquarius, this is about collective right now. But it's becoming like almost a comedy, or it's becoming... no one feels sorry for it. No one feels bad about it, because it's like we know so clearly how we're overcarrying, or we know so clearly and we've like chosen it at this point, or we've not said no to it, or we've not rejected it. Therefore, it becomes like a self-imposed kind of ridiculosity, and people just won't really have much, sympathy for it. So that also will create new chaos, and that will create like a weird societal dynamic that will not be good. So we need to really step out of it if we're there, and try to still have sympathy for those we know who are. So if you know someone in your life who is overworking, if you know someone in your life who like constantly signs themselves up for too much, or constantly tries to hold up the world, you might already see, like if you looked at how you're looking at them, like I just don't feel sorry for them anymore. Like I just don't like feel like I need to help them. And then you start to see like, wow, that's also really not great. So we can start to fix it just by saying like, okay, maybe I can be a supportive person and be like, you don't have to do so much. Like, please come like eat at my house or something. Like, let's wind you down a little bit. Okay. Week 3, there has to be a choice about how much we're carrying, basically. Okay. Whether you're in that 10 of Wands place, or whether you're seeing someone in your life there, like there's really got to be a choice made. Week 4, 9 of Wands, you're down by 7 of Pentacles. And that's just that choice being in a deliberative process. So we're winding it back. I kind of like that. It's almost like we're moving from the 10 back to the 9, and we're choosing to step away. So I think that there is a stepping away from that overworking. And from that point, from that like semi-okay point, we have a taking of stock, and we have a review, or we have a comprehensive understanding that happens with the 7 of Pentacles. So overall, Aquarius, this is an important thing that you're going through this month, but keep it in mind that like the last dose of sympathy, or the last dose of like perhaps support from others regarding this 10 of Wands situation, if you are in that, is still here. But like a year from now, it's probably not really going to be there, and people are going to be like, well, gosh, eventually you just have to like figure this out, or eventually you have to like drop some of this stuff off. Like it's going to be more of a stern countenance that you see from other people about it. So you might as well take some of the support now, or some of the sympathy, and resolve this stuff here. And this, again, is all really like an ode to Saturn retrograde. So anyway, I'm going to do an extended reading for you all on Patreon if you want to get a central theme, 2 supporting themes, and a significator card to understand a little bit more about what we can do. And I'll really ask the question in the extended reading, like how can we effectively move away from 10 of Wands? How can we channel that in an appropriate way? What is rooting that? Like, why does this keep happening? And we'll just see what else is coming up. So that will be linked in the center of your screen and linked below. Come check it out. The Patreon is a great value. So have a wonderful month, Aquarians, and check out your sun, moon, rising sign. This is not meant to be a harsh reading, but it's the realities of Saturn. So let's do this extended. Much love. Bye.